All right, let's talk about Tyree Wilson. We got to see Tyree Wilson actually play in the NFL in the preseason here, as he was banged up, didn't play for the first couple of games. So I was already kind of saying, you know what? Whatever he does, I'm not going to judge him too harshly here. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say whatever he does. I'm sure there would be some scenario where I would judge him harshly, but for the most part, I'm probably not going to be too negative on this performance. However, I don't have to be, because it was a good performance. Like, he actively looked good out there. And I'm someone who, if you know, I was not a huge fan of him coming out as a prospect. I'm usually not a huge fan of the drafting the athlete type edge rusher who doesn't have a ton of production, although I will acknowledge I like Tyree Wilson more than I like that typical archetype. I think he had more production than that average archetype does. But heading into the preseason here, it was a massive question of how well is some of his stuff just going to work at the next level. Well, let's see how it worked. Let's start off with the play you see on your screen. He's going up one-on-one against a wide receiver. Okay, should probably win this matchup, right? I mean, going up against a wide receiver, that's something that you expect him to be able to win on. But when this play begins, I mean, watch how he doesn't just win. He completely drives the wide receiver to the ground. The only issue is he fell over him after it a little bit, so he wasn't quite able to get over to the edge. But definitely showing that, you can do that if the run is going far enough away from it to make it work, where all the wide receiver had to do was get in Tyree Wilson's way, which is all he had to do on that play. Again, they did it intentionally that way, but it's not like you're ever going to be able to use a wide receiver to block him one-on-one. He just has too much power for that. So that's kind of a fun play. But what about maybe a more practical play? Like something like this. He's going to be going up one-on-one against an offensive lineman now. Okay, this is definitely much more of the kind of play we want to see him be able to succeed in at the NFL level, right? One-on-one against an offensive lineman, one-on-one against a tackle. This is, at the end of the day, for an edge rusher, this is what your job comes down to. Yes, there's plenty of other aspects of your job, but if you can do this successfully, you will be in the NFL for a while, and if you can't, you won't be in the NFL for a while. Right when this play begins, Tyree Wilson's going to do what Tyree Wilson is going to do basically most snaps in the regular season, I would assume. Utilize his power, utilize his strength, and try to overpower guys. Going with a bull rush right here. One thing worth noting, though, is just how much this right tackle here for Dallas is giving up for Tyree Wilson. I mean, he is completely kind of letting Tyree Wilson, get close to him, all so that he can get the better hand placement. That's kind of why you do it. You lose ground to gain ground, lose ground to hopefully get the hand placement you want and be able to make the play. I say hand placement, also footwork comes in. And, his feet do seem to be in a pretty decent spot. His hands seem to be in a pretty decent spot. The issue is Tyree Wilson now has some room to, he's had some room to build up speed, and watch what he does. I mean, he just throws that right tackle to the ground. I mean, that was just really, it was domination is what that was. So really impressive play. Now, the guy he's doing this to is Josh Ball, a fourth-round pick who hasn't really played much at the NFL level. And what he did, he actually, his PFF grade in the very small sample size, we saw only about 17 snaps of pass blocking. He has a sub-30 grade, so, okay, very small sample size. Can't hold that against him, but it is very well possible that we're talking about a guy who isn't necessarily an NFL talent in Josh Ball, with all due respect. So totally worth mentioning. But you know what? He is an NFL talent. Like, he is on a football field. He is at least a depth NFL player. So, again, these are mismatches for Tyree Wilson, but he's dominating the mismatches, which is what you want to see. You're going to get mismatches at the NFL level at times, and it's important to make sure you can dominate them. This play was another good one. This time it's going to be in the running game, so it's going to be now going up against the left tackle. So, okay, a little bit of a different situation here. This is Asim Richards, who was a fifth-round pick from this year. So again, he's not exactly going up against Trent Williams here. I get it, but still, again, these are college all-stars, right? I mean, there still is some intrigue in how he's going to perform against these guys. And again, it's going to be a running play towards the middle of the field, and watch what happens. Right off the bat, you see how, Richards is going to try to move him, but he's just not really a guy you can move very easily. And I really do think that one of the key ways that you're going to see Wilson have a positive impact right away for the Raiders is going to be in the running game, where, being a big guy who is strong can really, be a benefit. As you see, he kind of runs Richards over towards the middle, and he helps make that tackle. These are highlight reel level plays, quite frankly. It's highlight reel level plays against low level competition, 100%, but they still are highlight reel level plays. So again, yes, it would be more impressive if he was doing this against a superstar level offensive lineman, but we haven't seen him get those opportunities yet. All we can judge him off of is what we've seen him do, and if all we've seen him do at wearing an NFL uniform is go up against 4th and 5th round picks, but he's dominating those guys, it at least gives you hope that if nothing else, he can hold his own against, former 1st and 2nd round picks. Now, going over to this play, I saw people giving him kind of some hate for this one, but I actually didn't think he did anything wrong here. So the way this play is designed to work is it's a designed rollout towards the top of the screen. So run the play action, rolls out towards the top of the screen. Okay, simple enough. A lot of times teams will do two different things with the edge rusher on this play, which is Wilson. Guy I've circled, that's Tyree Wilson. There's two different things you can really do. For one, you could just leave him unblocked. Teams do that pretty frequently, and you hope that the edge rusher plays as though it's going to be a running play, so then when the quarterback keeps it himself, the edge rusher is now out of position, and the quarterback can get around him. You could also do what Dallas is going to do on this specific play. As you see, you're going to have a tight end kind of just get in his way a little bit. Just get him a little bit out of position, because all you need is really a step or two right here, typically, to where, Tyree Wilson, not in great position to try and make a tackle on the quarterback, which is not really his fault. Again, you get kind of blindsided at the line by a tight end. I actually thought he did a pretty good job of not getting moved too much on this play. There is a way you could talk about this as a negative, 100%, and you're going to see it once I play it. Watch how he kind of just follows the quarterback right here instead of running just directly towards the end zone. I mean, I know your momentum was kind of going in that direction, but without a doubt, it would have been better to just run straight towards the end zone. That's where the quarterback is going. The quarterback isn't, going to run the other direction. It's almost like he's, playing tag or something, or it's almost like a dog chasing after a ball, not taking the best route to where the ball is going to be instead he just sort of runs directly to the ball. I also kind of get it though. Again, guys are faster at the NFL level. Maybe this is something he would have been able to make work, if he was in college. Also, his momentum was taking him there, so I get why you did it. It's just something that when you watch the tape in hindsight, you probably say, yeah, maybe that's not something you do there. Maybe you try to run directly towards the end zone. Man, I don't really see this as a negative, though. I really don't. I don't think it's a big deal. Maybe you can nitpick it, I suppose, but as a whole, this was a good performance from Tyree Wilson. And again, I say that as a Tyree Wilson hater, I guess you could say. Although, obviously I love the Raiders Nation and all that stuff, so it makes me a conflicted, fan of, Tyree Wilson. But at the end of the day, the question with a lot of these guys is you might not be the most polished player. Is the moves, what are you going to do? Are you going to become more polished as you get more time at the NFL level, which some guys do and some guys don't? Or will just a few moves that you do have work at the NFL level, and who cares that you're not as polished? It's impossible to say what Tyree Wilson will be, but what we know now is that he's passed the first test. He looked really good against a low level of competition, which if he didn't, it would have been concerning. It would have. So the fact that he looked very good in this scenario, I think, is promising, and at least, gives you more hope if you were a fan of him for how he could do in the future. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.